Hi guys, Artiar here. So Yeli just dropped and I have been trying to test her out. So in today's video, we'll be jumping straight into some testing about Yeli, like some kind of mechanic, understanding the mechanic of Yeli, and also most importantly, we're gonna make a comparison between Yeli and also Diting, which is the main DPS single target we have. And then with the new Yeli here, we're gonna try to compare and see what is the pro and cons between the two high tier DPS enemies. But that's not all, I also got a giveaway for you. So I have a total of 10 codes, each worth 800 Hydra Crystal up for grabs. So to enter the giveaway is super simple. Just hit the like button and comment down anything about Yeli, whether it's your first impression, how would you build her, or if you think she's broken or actually overhyped. So I'm gonna pick 10 winners from the comment in a couple of days, within like 5 days, okay? Within 5 days, I'm gonna pick 10 winners, so don't miss out. So originally I got more codes, like I got 20 codes, but I give out 10 codes to the player who share their showcase to me. Like if you follow my channel, you will actually notice that there's some of the video showcase are actually provided by other players. So to thank for them supporting the channel and also providing very interesting showcase that will actually help the community, like free to play team comp for example. So I did give out some giveaway directly to them. So this 10 giveaway is for the whole community to up for grab. Alright, okay, so let's try and let's take a look at the Yeli first. So Yeli, this is the equipment set. I'm gonna test it later. We're gonna have crit rate 94%. We have crit damage here and also attack. So the prowess here is no dupe at all. So we don't have additional stats boosted through prowess. But while Diting later I'm gonna test, he will get a little bit more benefit, like additional stats a little bit, and then with that 10% damage more output, and also a little bit more crit damage and crit rate, while Yeli doesn't have. So you're gonna keep note about that the comparison between Yeli is not a max Yeli compared to Diting. Then the other thing about Yeli is, so Yeli herself have defense break. Okay, herself have defense break, and then she has buff steal, but we're not gonna make the buff steal inside the comparison. And then this defense break here, and while Diting here have vulnerable, so to make it equal, I'm gonna use Diting within this team comp to help apply defense break and vulnerable at the same time, so we don't have that kind of issue like that character have defense break, that character have vulnerable, so the testing is not going to be equal. So now let's take a look at Yeli first. Alright, so before we start, we're gonna understand a bit about the Yeli's kit first. So the Yeli kit here is the passive after you land a critical hit with an active skill. So this active skill here means that you cannot go through any kind of other method to re-trigger Fluttering Flora passive. Cause it have to be active skill, which means you have to actively let Yeli cast her own S1 or actively cast it on S3. So if you're using Lily here to force an assist for Yeli, is it called assist or pursuit? Assist, right? So with the assist here, it's not considered as an active skill, so it won't trigger her passive, which means she can only do one single target damage, so it won't continue to pew pew on that target. So this pew pew here, because this is a max skill up pew pew, it have a 100% chance to follow up the damage. So after your first damage, for example, you catch your S3, then you follow up damage with a S1. Then the S1 here have another 60% chance to cast another S1, and this is the rate. So let me break down the rate here. First hit is 100%, second hit is 60%, third hit is 36%, fourth hit is 21.6%, fifth hit is 12.96%, until like 10 hit is like 1% here. So technically, if you're lucky enough, you can do like 10 hit in a row. It is possible, but if you can hit that low RNG, you better buy a jackpot. So now let's take a look in game. So I'm gonna use this boss for example to because this boss doesn't require stamina, so it's a very good showcase here. And now let's take a look at the outcome. Okay, so I'm gonna use Lily to S2 on Yeli to give her some additional turn meter. Then I'm using Dina here to apply the defense break and also the vulnerable. So it's easy, it's a more fair comparison with Yeli and Diting, because Yeli can apply defense break, Diting can apply vulnerable, but to make it equal, I'm gonna apply both together at the boss. Alright, nice. I apply everything here. So now Yeli here will have the chance to actually defend break from S3, but I already defend break, which is fine. She will give herself a crit rate up, so she will have 100% crit rate from my own stats. Purify 2 debuff, which it will be very good for PvP content, especially if you skill it up, will actually purify all debuff. And then passive here have a 100% rate to have an initial follow-up damage. Alright, then let's take a look. So S3, very high quality animation here. S3, it will do 3 hits and also multi-hit defense break to the boss. Alright, 3 hit, then follow up S1, another S1. Can I RNG more? Can I trigger more? Nope, I didn't trigger more. So the rest of the follow-up really depends on your luck. If you're lucky, you can probably trigger like 3 hit or probably 5 hit, depends on your luck. Alright, buff up the team again. Okay, so let me buff up Lily, let her take an action instantly. Okay, let's take another comparison. So another S1 here. 1, 2, no, still 2. Alright, do some damage here. Lily S1, follow up damage, but it won't trigger the passive damage anymore. Like it won't continue pew pew. Alright, now Yeli, do again, another S1. S1, another time. Okay, I managed to steal the buff, attack up buff. Third time. Alright, 3 hit this time. So every time depends on your luck. You might actually do a lot more DPS, depends on how many hit you proc. And the other advantage of her, she's actually able to steal buff. So like the attack up buff from the boss just now, I dispel the buff and put it on myself, so I get attack up buff and the boss don't have the attack up buff anymore. Okay, now let's take a look at Diting. Okay, so this is my Diting stats. So it's gonna be 120% crit rate. It's the same equipment set with what Yeli is currently using. And then 67 speed, crit damage, and attack. So Diting overall have a better stats due to the prowess here is max, and then it's gonna have a 10% additional more damage, and with crit rate and crit damage increase. So what we want to compare is how many damage can Diting actually do when Diting have the exact same equipment with Yeli. Alright, now let's take a look with the same team setup but with Diting now. And then, okay, Lily is gonna buff up Diting. Okay, then Dina, to be fair, apply all the same debuff to the boss. Alright, now Diting's turn. So Diting damage here with the S3, it will actually does a lot more burst damage due to the passive. Will turn into more crit damage for Diting, and Diting here is actually higher multiplier. Alright, let's take a look. S3. Okay, 1 hit here, 162k, and then with a follow-up damage of White Fang. So in terms of DPS output burst, Diting might actually do a better job from the S3. But now let's take a look at the S1. So how many damage can Diting S1 does to the boss without any without the passive stack, right? So let's take a look like Lily S1. Then Diting follow-up is actually 78k. So it's only one single target hit, while Yeli can actually does a lot more through the S1. So now with the passive and the with the passive on the boss, one S1 here can do 78k. Okay, then Yeli here can actually steal buff and also do a lot more damage based on the multiplier. Now let's take a look at a comparison. Alright, so this is the comparison part. I'm gonna compare with Diting damage here, right? So these are all the damage I took from the previous testing part. So this S3, 3 hit of damage, then I managed to S1 twice. If you have better RNG, you can actually S1 a lot more often as well. And this 2 damage here is from the White Fang. And the total damage I'm able to get through Yeli's S3 is 235835. So this is the damage. Then if we compare with Diting, so Diting S3 damage, the first hit is mega high damage, 162k, and another S1 proc damage, 87k. And then another 2 proc of White Fang damage makes it to 322k. So in terms of S3 burst damage for the first round, Diting is actually doing a lot more higher than Yeli by around like almost 100k. But keep note, this Yeli here is not the max Yeli, and like even my S3 is not even maxed out yet as well. And then Diting here is a totally maxed out Diting. But if we continue to look other than just the first round of burst damage, like if we're fighting in a long battle, then this is how it will look like. Then this is my normal S1 with Yeli, and Yeli potential is not only to hit. If a better luck, you can actually proc 3 hit, 4 hit, 5 hit, or 6 hit. So the multiplier can actually go a lot more higher potential, depends on your luck. So now currently with 2 hit here, I'm able to do 119k damage. But if we look at Diting here, with the passive already triggered on the boss, I'm actually only to do 78k damage here. So in terms of S1 active turn damage, my S1 damage is actually a lot more higher than Diting's S1 damage. Then the other one is like, if we are true Lily S1, if Lily S1 here, my Yeli only does like 40k damage, while Diting here can do 78k damage. But to be honest, this comparison here is a little bit off, is because the boss no longer have defense break. So this is actually not accurate. The accurate one will be something like this. So if you look at Diting one, it's actually almost the same damage, while Yeli one should be almost the same damage as well. So you can just take 59k as a comparison compared with Diting. Then the other one, if Yeli actually casts S1 while the boss doesn't have defense break, doesn't have vulnerable, and the boss have attack up buff. So the first damage here, I only able to do 21k. But after that, my second hit able to steal the buff from the boss. So I able to steal the attack up buff from the boss. So now my third S1 actually does a lot more higher compared my second S1, because I steal the buff, the attack up buff from the boss. So my total damage from my S1 is actually 73k, while Diting here, without the attack up buff, without the vulnerable, without the defense break, and not able to steal the attack up buff from the boss, Diting is able to do 44k. Alright, this one is a bit mistake here, 44k. So if we can take a look here, in a long battle, Yeli will have a lot more high potential and a lot more damage compared with Diting. So you can see the first S3 burst, Diting will win, obviously, because Diting S3 is actually a nuclear bomb. And after the S3, Lily actually win in terms of damage. So if we don't take this as comparison about the Lily's SC's proc, if we just take these two damage here, Lily actually win in the long battle, because usually Lily will always proc at least minimum twice compared with Diting. And then Yeli can steal buff, so the boss will no longer have, for example, like attack up buff, crit rate buff, or speed up. So it will also make your team survival a lot more higher because of the buff steal, while Diting is not able to do it. Diting can do a lot more high burst damage, but after the burst damage, then Diting damage will actually lower than Yeli, then Yeli DPS will actually catch up. So in terms of overall utility and damage wise, I will still say Yeli is better than Diting. But if you're making a speed run team that you want to nuke the boss down very fast, you don't want the battle to be long, then Diting value will actually be higher than Yeli. Then another thing that player actually asked, so since Yeli is a multi-hitter, why not we actually build her with Revelation, right? So let me build the same thing. So this is the exact same thing, but I'm gonna change the shell into Revelation here. So with Foray Momentum, okay, so Foray Momentum, I'm not able to use the equipment set now, but let's ignore the equipment set. All right, let's ignore the equipment set. All we need to test is just, what if we're actually using Revelation on Yeli? Can Revelation proc every single proc on Yeli? That's the question, right? So okay, so let's take a look here. This is the recording when I successfully to hit Revelation. Alright, so I defend break on the boss, and then Yeli casts her S3. You will notice that Yeli's S3, the multi-hit, every multi-hit here will proc the Revelation damage. Right, every proc here will block the Revelation damage. The damage now compared to the previous one is low, is because I did not have any set effect. My Revelation set and the current set I'm using is totally different. So you can see it procs another 16k white damage here. This based on the boss. And then after that, Yeli follow-up damage, it does proc additional damage as well. Every single follow-up multi-hit within that turn, it all counts within the Revelation buff. So if you are lucky enough, you can actually proc S3 and then proc another 10 hit of S1, and every single S1 proc with the Revelation. So technically you can do a lot more high potential as well. But again, it is RNG, because Yeli here requires the luck to actually let her assist more. Alright, so after the testing, so this is my own opinion of Yeli and comparison with Diting. So Yeli here is a very universal DPS in my opinion for a long battle and a very consistent damage. So she have defense break, she have self-crit, very selfish self-crit, and then have follow-up damage, and then can also steal buff. Will actually help your team especially in boss fight, because if the boss actually apply a lot of buff for themselves, like defend up, attack up, crit damage up, speed up, all this thing, Yeli have the chance to actually steal all the buff, to actually buff herself and lower down the boss damage, so your overall team survival will also increase. And with Yeli here, she doesn't need a defense breaker in your team anymore. You doesn't need to apply claws, you doesn't need to put Dina in your team because she provides defense break already. But if you still want the claws additional damage increase output, you can still put claws obviously, but in PvP she doesn't rely any defense breaker in the team. She can just nuke the team by herself, while Diting here is actually still one of the best single target DPS for burst damage. So in a long battle, probably Yeli will have a better value because of the buff steal for survival for the whole team. And then with the RNG, with the good enough luck, you can actually proc a lot more damage than Diting because of the continuously S1. So, and also Yeli follow-up damage here can actually have a very high potential multiplier. So every hit from Yeli is a 240% multiplier damage, and then with a 100% chance of casting another arrow spark, which means at minimum your S1 here is going to do 480% damage. Then after the calculation of the reduced to 60% chance, you will actually have a 60% chance to do 720% damage and a 36% chance to do 960% on the S1 damage here. So the multiplier on Yeli is actually crazy high. So if you have luck, you can even proc 5 hit or 6 hit. So it's a luck RNG DPS. So it's a very insane damage multiplier, but you can make it even more scary. So if you make with Revelation, every Revelation proc here will also synergize to how many S1 you actually does to the boss. So it's actually very high potential on Yeli, and the longer the battle, the better Yeli is, because you can still keep stealing the buff and doing a lot more consistent S1 damage to the boss too. And not to mention, she is a constant type, so she doesn't have disadvantage other than disorder, because disorder counters her, she also counters disorder, so she can be used in any other content in the game as well. So currently at day 2 of Yeli, you can start seeing Yeli's action mostly in shell drop currently. So if we look at Nico Nana here, Yeli is currently at the fastest clear other than DOT in terms of Nico Nana, but I'm pretty sure this team is manual, like using Dorothy the Wisher here to turn meter push Yeli to do another S1 proc, something like that. And then for Sharon here, we can see Yeli team as well. This is also manual, I'm pretty sure, because of the Chachi and also the Dorothy to keep turn meter push Yeli. So there's potential to speed run the whole shell boss, and Hoyen here still can't replace because of the DOT, and Rengotkusu here we can starting to see Yeli action as well. Okay, Yeli action here, and then probably for other module boss you also start to see Yeli, because I believe that my union member did Yeli team within Tormenton Inferno as well. Probably we can't see it now, but yeah. So Yeli can actually be a very universal DPS for a lot of content. Alright, so that's it for the testing today. So if you have anything about anything you want to comment about Yeli, or what do you think about Yeli, you can feel free to comment down. And also at the same time, you are going to participate in the giveaway for the 10 code. So good luck. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye. Special thanks for the direct support on the YouTube membership. So for the benefactor of Artiar, which is JenMP, SPVCEJVMQ, Trendcan, thank you so much for your support. And also special thanks for the supporter or patron of Artiar, which is Louis Schneider, Agni, Wang Tamer, Ziggy, Kamaruki, Sunwaltz, Rimu, Choni, Antonio Winterspoon, Cragran, Calamity, Rocco Standions, Jordan Alons. Special thanks for your support. And also special thanks for the Super Thanks MVP, HMZ, RY, and X Reads. Thank you so much for your support. Special thanks for the direct support on the live stream super chat for the latest 10. Thank you so much for Code Wardeners, Calamity, Agni, Love Fatima, Fatima Little Underwear, Bloods, Riku Fred, Choni. Thank you so much for your support.